It's 9:01. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. So this is our second session of our 8-week training course, AI, Mastering AI in Your Business. And we're going to spend this whole time with our CEO and founder of Huzi, Eric Post, who's going to walk us through not only how to use the tool and how to become familiar with it, but also use cases in your business, which is what we all really need to know at the end of the day is how do we leverage this to grow personally and professionally. So super excited. If you were on the call last week, or maybe if you missed the call, we have also posted that in Huzi Learn. So you can navigate to Huzi Learn and find that recording in there. We went over sales and marketing in the first week session, which was fantastic. But we also did spend a lot of time in Huzi AI agents. And so if you're looking for a really good kind of crash course on how to set those up, where to find resources, I'd strongly recommend going back to that recording. It's fantastic because we did spend a lot of time on AI agents last week. We'll be spending more time in Satori on today's call, which is all about operations and efficiencies. But coming off of last week too, we loved the engagement and you guys came with a lot of questions. We can tell you're in there and you're using the system. Super excited. So we're leaving a little bit more space today to welcome you to do that, to come off mute, ask your questions. We've got Kelly Perkel on the call, Nate Swift, and also Josh Levine on the call as well, all from Huzi. So we're going to be following the chat, answering the questions as we go, but just welcome you to share your use cases and questions. We'll make sure to get them all answered. So without further ado, Eric, you want to take over and tell us how to use all of these fantastic tools in our business?
Good morning, you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for spending your morning here on your business. Again, the focus isn't about Huzi or about AI. It's about how you grow your business, how you scale your business, how you serve your customers deeper, how you win. Frankly, is what we're really wanting to talk about. So hopefully some of the things we're talking about today will help you win in your respective markets and in your respective jobs and with your businesses. And I already see, and in life, actually, I already see a comment in here. Nick's asking about using Satori actually for faith-based growth. So I love those sorts of questions as well because AI is an expander of you, or it should be. It shouldn't be it shouldn't be a replacement for you. It should be an expander for you. One of our affiliates, Krista Hilton, I was watching her stories yesterday and she was using Satori and Huzi in a few use cases and posting on her Instagram. And she did such a nice job of articulating how AI is collapsing time for her and helping her with her self-proclaimed ADHD brain all over the place, collapse time and really expand her thoughts and collect her thoughts in a way that she's never had access to before. So that's at the core of it, you guys. That's what we're talking about today. Hopefully these tools do help you. I did a little review of our last week's episode and thought I was trying to do too much heavy content with y'all. And so I wanted to, like Danielle said, create a little bit more space, allow you guys to ask questions along the way, unmute yourself, get in the chat, get busy, and make sure that you feel like you're served today and that you got exactly what you needed out of this hour. Does that sound good? Can I get a thumbs up from everybody if you can all hear me and sounds good? Right on. Hey, Keith, good morning. Hey, guys, good morning. Good to see all friendly faces. So if you don't mind, actually, Nick, when we get to Satori, we'll look at something like that. Nick's actually referring to a podcast I did this last couple of weeks that was a faith-based podcast, a spiritual-based podcast, kind of around the topic of AI and is that welcome in the church? And some people in religion are worried about AI. So it was a great conversation. So Nick, we'll address that too. I don't mind the question at all. Beautiful. Um, to get started, I just want to say that uh, this last week I did a demo with a group of agents, and there was an agent named Crystal up in Canada who kind of caught my eye. And so, like, I used Mark last week as our kind of avatar. I'm going to use Crystal today as a little bit of our avatar today to get started. So, that said, Danielle, what do you think about me just getting right into agents to do the one use case for agents that I thought of today before we go into Satori? Does that sound good?
I think that'd be awesome. A great segue into today.
Okay, let's get that. Let's rock and roll. I'm going to share my screen here. And so the use case I thought we'd go through today is I will show you for if you're a listing agent or a real estate agent, I'm going to show you how to make a AI agent using our Huzi AI agents for a Q&A customer service lead generation AI agent for your listings that you would put on your listing, on your flyer, on a QR code, in your open house and whatnot that will help answer questions about that property. So we'll go work through that real quick and we'll demonstrate that today live. Okay. Sound good, Danielle? All right. So, all right. Can you see my screen here this morning?
We can see it. It's perfect.
Okay, perfect. I also want to make sure I'm increasing the font size. I want to make sure the font size is bigger. I've gotten some feedback that font size is a little small. I don't know what size your screens are, but does this look good to everybody? Kelly, everybody?
It's
Okay.
probably about as good as it can get.
All
Yeah,
right.
great. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Okay. So I spun one up here. Here's an address for a property. And so let's actually open this up and see what this looks like. All right. Now here's the challenge. Crystal was on the call, and Crystal, the agent here, she's an EXP agent up in Calgary. She's pretty tech savvy. She has been using AI avatars on our social media for a year. She uses AI quite a bit. And so she was part of a demo the other day and went right to work and spun up an agent and actually put it on her website already, and she built one out, and it works great, and it's really fun to see her test it. But even with her expertise, it took a few iterations back and forth, right? And so, first of all, I want to say that something like this is more of an art than a science. And the more that you work with AI, the more you realize kind of how it works and get a feel for it, not just the technical, here's the steps one, two, three, but just a generalized feel for working with it. Just kind of like when you work with a person over time, you work with somebody, and week two, you get to know them a little bit better. Week three, you get to know them a little better. In the same way, AI is the same thing, Danielle, I've found. So think about more of it as an art. It's not a science. If you get it wrong, you just take a little another paintbrush and try blue color this time, and then try red a little bit and paint on it a little bit, okay, till you get to the finished product that you want. Um, so let me show you what it actually looks like, what the kind of a finished product sort of looks like. This took me approximately from start to finish, about, I think it was 8 minutes, just to give you an idea. So I built a few of them now. So your time goes down to do things like this. It took me about 8 minutes from start to finish. Okay, I timed it just to show you what it could be like here in that amount of time in under 10 minutes. So here's kind of the experience. If you can imagine a buyer coming up to the sign, seeing a QR code, scanning it, and then having the ability to go on their phone to something like this, and obviously be smaller on their phone. So let's say I say, "Oh my gosh, how much is this listing?" You can see at the bottom here, I created some little categories that gives the user just push button access. So one of the things I have found with lubricating the adoption of these things is giving them push button access, getting them started something that they could just push a button and just get the dopamine going and see what it looks like. So Josh uses the term you lower their activation calories, right? And so they don't have to think about what to ask or whatever, just like, oh, I like to schedule a showing. Tell me about the schools. What makes Crystal special compared to the other agents? Tell me more about this listing agent. How much is a listing? Things like this get the conversation started much, much easier. Does that make sense, you guys? Kelly, Daniel?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what you're going to see here is that this AA is trained to deliver, whatever information is asked about, but then also to like, we're here to capture leads, right? We're here to like get your information and schedule a showing and kind of move the relationship forward. Um, I don't know about anybody else here, but if there's been real estate agents or mortgage people on the call, have you ever felt like that you're the giver of free information at these open houses or at listings, and people just come to you and ask all these questions and then go use their own agent, right? Does anyone ever feel like they're the, okay?
Yeah.
So we're in the business of commercial teaching, not public free teaching, okay? And what I mean by that is that we should be giving our education away that leads to us as the direct solution. So whatever we're talking about, whatever information we're giving away, it circles right back to you as being the perfect candidate to serve them, or this being the perfect house for this buyer to buy, right? It's just not generalized information. So we don't want to say, hey, here's the price, and then let me know if you need anything else. It's here's the price, and then what else can I do to serve you? Let's set up a listing showing. Let's set up a meeting. Let me get your name and information. Okay. So you want to train the bot to move the conversation along a little bit. All right. Now, if you notice here, there's an answer sources. So I have a feature turned on so the user has the experience that they know wherever the information comes from. So if the user, if they want to click the listing, they can get right to the link and then see more details about where the information came from that the AI agent served up. So one of the things that I think is really important is that you give, that transparency to people. It's not AI shouldn't just be a black box of spitting out answers you don't know where it came from. So I like that here in our system here that you can deliver information on sources, and I'll show you where to click that box. So every answer you can cite the source for it.
Mhm.
Okay.
That makes it stickier as well too, right? Because it removes the customer's question in their mind. Am I checking everything? Do I have access to all the information or do I need to go elsewhere to vet this? So makes it stickier.
That's exactly right. So let me just tell you more about Calgary. This is in Calgary. And you can see there's a few things here. It's getting the economy, education. So I trained, this AI agent to respond in a certain way that I wanted a nice, dynamic, and deep and rich, comprehensive response to some of these things. So it wasn't just these little bite-sized chunks. I was like, oh, this is chintzy. It's just this little AI bot. I wanted to have a nice, immersive experience here. And so I trained a couple of these responses to be a little bit more immersive. And you can see it's the internal knowledge base and a couple of Wikipedia pages were included in this training response. Okay. So, first of all, you kind of see how this works. Good
Mhm.
thumbs up. Let's say I like to schedule a showing. How does this work? What would the experience be like? Let's say I'm in Pacific Standard Time. And you see these little comments here? I actually made those comments a little bit witty just so you can see, like, hey, you should buy this house. Calgary is amazing. Crystal's a great real estate agent. The whole idea with these things is to create a memorable experience. It's not just to be a forgettable, like, leave them indifferent to you. In business and real estate and anything else, like indifference is a deal killer, right? If you're forgettable, it's just a deal killer. So I love they either get the house and love it and have to buy it, or get the house and hate it and not ever want to see it again. But at least they remember it, or your service, or this experience, right? So don't be afraid to, like lean in and make it fit your personality. If you're sarcastic and witty, this thing can be too, right? If you are fact-based, this can be too. Have it be a reflection of you, all right? So let's see here. Oh, 1 a.m. I didn't set that. No, I need something around noon. I like to sleep in. All right. Let's sleep in here. Oh, no available slots. Great. So I had this connected to my calendar, so I'm actually busy. So, um, how about early Monday? Perfect. Okay. I'll take three of the three. Let's just say I'm gonna get up this early. Now you see
Well, AI
email.
is like, well, I'm 24/7. So when you say early, we're just into the day.
That's so funny. I'm just gonna shorten this up here. So here is the schedule. Now, in the settings, when I set this up, there's going to be a couple things that's happened. This appointment is going to show up on my calendar with a special notation, so I'm going to be able to see exactly that this was set by my AI agent. And also, I am the agent. I'm going to receive an email saying that I have a new showing that's scheduled. So I'm not going to miss any of these things. I'm going to get email notification. And it's going to show up on my calendar, and it's also going to be put onto the client's calendar as well here. So if I look into my inbox, you can actually see this is one that looks like here. It says in fact, here's the email that just came through. So here is the email. Here it is. And then here is the event link. And if I click on this, you will see that this has been added to my calendar showing for this house here at this time of the day. So you can see from start to finish that you're able to, within 8 minutes, spin up something like this that could collect leads, schedule your calendar, answer questions, and if I wanted, I could go even further and serve up photos and virtual tours and whatnot. So that's kind of the experience. Now let's go back. Let's go back to the bot. Okay. So as you're logging into your dashboard, don't forget that you can see all of the conversations that your AI agent is having with everybody. And if at any point in time, if they are chatting here, and let's say that you were looking and you were like, "Oh my gosh, hi Eric, this is Crystal." Send. Now, if you wanted to do something like that, you could take over the conversation And if you can see now, me as the user, I'm going to get the response from you, not just the AI bot. So this is a portal to the client, like right in front of the house if you wanted. So you could jump in the conversation and take over live if you had a live client right in front of the home and be talking to them about the property right here in this interface, which I think is pretty slick. Does that make sense, Danielle? I see your face going, ooh, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, no, it is. And I actually like Cheryl's question that just came through. So she said, how would you deal with a listing already using a QR code to link to the property description? So, um, do you want to take that, Eric, or?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I would love to know is that, and she can like unmute herself here. And thanks again. I can't see the conversations in the chat. I'd like to know where that QR code is and where how the QR code is being used first and foremost.
So, hi. So
Hi.
what it is a platform that you input your listings into, creates a QR code, a single property website, all of these different things that can be associated with that property. So I'm looking at this and it's really exciting, but now my mind's exploding.
Yeah, okay, so two things. First of all, this AI agent could live on your single property website if you wanted. So if you wanted them to go from if your strategy as an agent would be that you would prefer them going to a single property website instead of an AI agent, you could use that same QR code that was generated, send them to your single property website, and instead this little guy would live something like this, and it would live on your single property website and could also answer questions that way. Okay. Does that make sense, Cheryl? So that would be option number one for you. Does that register for you?
I'll listen to it again.
Okay. So I'll do it again, just to be really, really clear, because this is a great use case. Any website that you're able to embed code in, so many single property websites, follow-up boss websites, uh, Squarespace, Wix, all of these websites have the ability to embed the code. Your AI agent has the ability to it produces the code right here. So you would just have to copy and paste this into your single property website where it allows you to embed the code. And I don't want to go too far into the technical details, but we can also do this for you. Josh can do this for you, or I could do this for you, or somebody on the team could do it for you, by the way. But that would be
Yeah.
one solution. If you like that ecosystem, I don't want to mess it up, but this could possibly enhance it by putting the AI agent on there for you.
Yeah.
Second of all, you can have unlimited QR codes for unlimited things. So if you like the single property website as a way for them to get to your single property website, let's say from your flyer, because in your mind you believe that they pick a flyer and they go home and you want them to get to the single property website, that's great. But let's say you think this AI agent would be better at converting right there in front of the signpost. So you might put a QR code for this AI agent on the signpost themselves, and so you want to capture them like that while they're hot, right? So you can have multiple QR codes doing multiple things, no problem, just depending upon what your particular strategy is.
Love it.
Okay, good question. Anything else in the chat, Danielle, that I'm missing?
I think Josh is answering some of these. Some people were asking about, depending on where your clients are reaching your AI agent or where they're finding you from, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, things like that. So absolutely, your AI agents can live anywhere. In fact, if you go to the marketplace, we have some pre-built AI agents that are specifically designed for answering DMs on Facebook and Instagram as well too. So
Yeah,
absolutely. I want to point out too, Eric, if I can, just a higher level, because it's easy to most on the call. I know a lot on the call are in real estate, so this is a fantastic use case. But just higher level too, one of the first things for you to consider is where are my customers, right? Where are they when they have questions? So this use case is they're potentially standing in front of your listing, they have questions. So if they're in that place, how do you answer them, right? So the QR code is fantastic. So they're not typing in a URL. You're not emailing them a link. The QR code is great. When they're standing there, what questions do they have? Eric's use cases, they're generally going to ask about that property, or if you can get them to that place, can I schedule a showing? Um, and then of course, there's the lead capture is the ultimate goal of the agent. You don't just want to answer the question and then they walk on. But if your use case is a different business, let's say it be in a restaurant or something like that, it may be an entirely different experience. Perhaps it's not lead generation, it's customer service in that moment. Perhaps you're not too concerned about your individual personality coming through in this, like Eric was talking about, but more the vibe of the business and the restaurant in general. So again, just think high level, like where is my customer? What questions do they have in that place? And then who is responding to that? Is it me individually or my business?
And I love that you said where are they? So for instance, where are they? They could be this could be an email. Let's say I'm emailing back and forth with Danielle, and let's do a new example here. Let's say I'm a fitness trainer. And so let's say I want to capture as much information as I can from anytime I'm emailing somebody that will drive them to my AI agent that will capture leads. Well, then in my email signature is the perfect opportunity to say, hey, let my AI support agent help you count your macros today. Click here. And then they could just click here and go to your AI agent. Now they're getting more value from you. It's because my client in this case was in my email with me, right? So let's say you're in your open house. Well, in an open house, then you can use a QR code. It might be a flyer. They are in your on your social media. Well, then you can put one of these agents in your DMs. So the idea of where your client is the first thing to start, and then you figure out how to deliver that to them, whether that's a QR code, a link, a text message, a hyperlink, a flyer, you name it. All right.
Mhm.
And then you go from there. That's a great point. Okay. Questions? Can I keep moving here a little bit? Second of all, once you do this one time, and now if I have anytime, if you like this use case, anytime you had a listing from here and you like the way this is performing, you just be able to clone the AI agent. It would produce the next one. So use the same exact system prompt, and you just copy and paste the different information as particular to the listing. So you've gone from 8 minutes of deployment down to 3 or 4, right? By being able to click clone. Let's go into settings though. I want to actually show you how the prompt is designed, and everybody has their own little secret sauce here. And I designed this by just using the AI support bot inside of the agent. So I didn't use any other tools. At first, I did use Satori a little bit, and I did use SparkPad a little bit, and it produced great results. But I was trying to see if you just didn't even leave the ecosystem here, could you get it done? And I was able to produce this here. So, a couple of things. If you see these little guys here, Josh, do you want to pop on and just give them your philosophy to these little markers that you've put into the system prompts here?
Yeah, totally. So the little slashes are mostly for you guys to understand sort of the structure of things, and those are not going to be sent to the AI. Everything else is. Yeah, that's basically how the slashes work. But the idea behind the sort of templates in general is it's sort of functional and a tutorial. So if you're like totally stuck and you copy in one of those templates, it should you should be
Mhm.
able to just sort of read through it and understand how to make things work um,
And
in the context of the system prompt itself.
if you have any questions, ask the little bot down here, and you can send us an email. But these little guys basically hide the information from the AI, and it's just for your information here. So if you wanted the AI to read something like this, you would just remove those, and now the AI would actually read this comment as an example. Okay.
Mhm.
And I do want to point out that the little slashes hiding things from the AI, that's the only like sort of coding that takes place in this window. Everything else, any like quotations or brackets or asterisks or hashtags, pound symbols, that's just sort of for our benefit and for the sake of clarity, but nothing has like a hard function in that way other than those two slashes. Um,
And how do you talk, like, what is a base system problem? You see your objectives. So let's say I was hiring Josh, and Josh is my sign spinner, and Josh is way more qualified than to be a sign spinner. But let's say Josh is my sign spinner that I've hired to be out in front of this listing, and I want him to engage with people that are driving by. I would do this something just like this. I'm like, Josh, your objectives are, and I would lay those out if I was training Josh. You're going to be warm and friendly. You can provide details. You're going to highlight the area. You're going to answer any questions, right? I would say, Josh, I want you to be warm and friendly. I don't want you to be salesy. I want you to avoid these things. I want you to be detailed, right? You would talk to Josh and train your employee in the exact same way that you're giving your AI assistant instructions here in this base system prompt.
yeah.
Okay. They're a little
One
new.
of the
Oh,
one
sorry,
of the
Josh.
switches I see flip for people is when you go to say test your agent and you're like, oh, I didn't really like that response. Most people's first thought is, I wish it would do X. And then from there you go to, how do I make it do X? And then from there it's just like, hey, can you please do this? You know what I mean? If your question is, how do I make it do this? The answer is usually just tell it that you want that thing to be done, which sounds simple, but it's sort of like a 180 to how some people are used to thinking about things, and that sort of can unlock a whole world of functionality for you.
Let me just tell you exactly what that looks like. You see, if you are here in the AI agent and you are doing testing back and forth, nobody else is seeing this. This is you. This is your little workstation here. And you ask a question. Let me start this all over. And let me say, how much is this listing? And it gives this answer. And you don't like it. You like it to be some sort of different answer. You would say, train better responses. Click that answer. And now when anybody asks, how much is this listing? I would say something like, um, and don't forget, Eric is a really horrible dancer. All right, train response. Now, how much is this listing? Oh, you see the little, and it's really thinking here. You look so good today. Oh, nope, let me do it again. There we go. I didn't save it. Bad dancer. Response is being trained. Let's see if it took this time. Oh, we're gonna have to do little bug things. Here we go. So it's not remembering, Josh. So can you make a little comment there? And see, these are things that I want you guys to make sure that you understand that we're your partner in any of these things. So if you have questions or if it's not operating, just let us know and we'll get it fixed, Josh. But that's how it would work if it was working today. All right, fair enough. All
I
right,
like how you
live
showed us
demos.
to where, where we write, I don't want to call it code because
So
it's
funny.
not really code. We've got a couple backslashes for the code, but really just our text and how we outline we want the user experience to be, highlighting user experience, right? So Tracy had a really great question. She's like, if I have multiple listings, am I creating an AI agent for each individual listing, or do I have one AI agent that answers questions for all my listings? Tracy, you could do either. It really just depends on what user experience you want to have. Um, if you'd like to train your AI agent so that you're just constantly, you're updating information that it's pulling from that will always be informed on every listing that's tied to you, you could do so. Or
Hmm.
you could train one per listing, and the user experience would be more personalized. When they're scanning that QR code at the property, then for instance, it'll say something about that. The AI won't have to ask the user, which property are you here to learn about, or would you like to learn about? Because they will know.
Hmm.
So just think
Hmm.
about the user experience that you want to.
So let's say you had five listings. If you wanted to, you can put all five listings down here as an example if you wanted to give that as the first experience. If you had the listings and all of your listings were on your website and you have, my featured listings, you would be able to put that URL for my featured listings. Let's say if she has one, right? She might have like my featured listings. You could then take that URL and put it into that agent, and that will scrape my future listing. So as your listings update, so does your agent,
Mhm.
right? So it's very flexible. So if you want your employee to know about all of your listings, it can. If you want your employee to know about each employee to know about each listing, it can. Again, you're not worried so much about that. You're worried about the consumer experience and what you're trying to do for them and how you're trying to give them their information. Okay. Great questions, you guys. Okay. Um, Let's go ahead and on the integrations, I do want to point out that if you do if you do want it on your website, you just want to make sure that it's public. We had a couple of people that installed them yesterday and they missed this. They were sent to private and it wasn't showing up. So if you want people to see it, please just make it be public, save that, and then you're good to go. It's just a little thing. I noticed that yesterday with a few that got installed. Um, we had a couple of agents install them yesterday and talked to clients yesterday and was on their websites and within a day they were already activated. So I thought that was really cool. In your scheduling, Just a couple of things to note. First of all, I like these two settings the most. I like to be emailed in addition to the appointment being showing up on my calendar. So I don't know about you guys, but calendar gets booked sometimes. I don't see it, but I'm in my emails often. So I like to make sure you click this button right here, enter your email address, and you'll get that email that notifies you anytime anything is scheduled. And personally, I like to make sure that I'm customizing the appointment title in my calendar. So I'm not looking at my calendar, wondering what the heck, where this thing came from and whatnot. So give it a name that you'll recognize that shows up in your calendar. You know, oh, my AI agent booked that for me. Those are two little tips there with the calendar. And this calendar will be getting updated in the next couple of weeks, Josh. Remember right on the roadmap, this section will be getting updated in the next couple of weeks just to make this a little bit more simple for you and robust as well. I think if that's okay, let's get into Satori, Danielle, because we're already at about a half hour. Is that okay to move
Let's
on?
do it. Let's do
Okay.
it.
All right, let's go to Satori. So, in thinking of operations and efficiency and thinking of use cases for Satori, one of them is I was looking at trends for 2025, and most of the time over the last, and most of the companies I looked at over the last 12 to 24 months, the tech stack got really bloated. And we added all these new tools and all these new technology things. We're testing out all these things, and our tech stack got heavier with AI, not less. And it was more work on us, not less. And AI didn't lower the calories per day. It actually increased it because you had to learn all these new things and implement these new things and actually made some people a lot less efficient by trying to automate their business and injecting AI. So I wanted to point out that Satori can actually act as your tech support guide for anything that you have in your tech stack. So personally, I started using Satori to help customers here and doing some tech support in with their particular tech stack, their CRM or their single property website thing. And I didn't know it off the bat, but I had Satori help me figure out and learn it really, really quickly. So I like the idea. Let's say you used Follow Up Boss, and that's your CRM. And maybe you have a team and you want to do some training or you want to be able to use the advanced features in it, but you just don't have the time to sit down and watch the 2 hours worth of tutorials. So why don't you just make a board on Satori that this board becomes your Follow Up Boss technical support board, as an example? So I went onto YouTube and found two fantastic videos. One of those is 18 minutes and this full crash course is about 40 minutes. So I've got, nearly an hour worth of deep dive into Follow Up Boss by all I did again was go to my YouTube widget, go to YouTube, look at the URL, and then I pasted it right in here into my YouTube widget. And if you can see here, this is now loaded on the board. And now the moment I hand this over to my AI chat window, it now knows everything in that video. So the use case here is I'm a follow-up boss user, I'm a sync user, I'm a Lofty user. Insert your technology here so Tori can actually help be your tutor, your guide, your customer support agent. That you can get access to any information. And I think it lowers the kind of the stress of having to know all these tools because I have a little support here. Danielle, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I use it to troubleshoot all my tech now. My car, anything. Your tech.
I love the idea of having Huzi help our members lower kind of their anxiety around all of their tech pieces, right? So if you get stuck with any of your tech thing, you can't find it in their help documents, or there's some, you go to their knowledge base and you're like searching for an article that fits you, but you can't find just the right one. I don't know if that happens to anybody else. It's super frustrating. So what I did here, I found these two videos, and then I actually went and looked at the Follow Up Bosses API like all of their documentation, and I found that website, and then I went to my website widget and I entered the URL right here, and now Huzi scraped all of this website, and now it knows all this documentation right here on the site. So I was helping one of our users figure out how to install a webhook. I didn't know how to do it and whatnot, but I could ask Satori right here. And with this video, with this documentation, I got the answer in like 10 seconds. Okay. So the first thing I want you to say is let's say, does anybody a follow-up boss user here on this call, by the way? Is anybody a follow-up boss user? I can't see. Sync, Lofty, Asana, any of those? Okay, man. So insert your choice of tech stack here. and do the same thing for this. And now you will never be frustrated with how to use something that you're paying for. I hate paying for something and not knowing how to get my money's worth out of it. So please, I don't have the hour to sit down and watch these videos on how to use it, but I certainly can have Huzi tell me how to get started. I certainly can have Huzi get started here and walk me through line by line by line. Okay. So if you can see when I say get started, what it is, key benefits, how this is, core actions to take, right? And now let's say, tell me how to input, tell me how to input contacts. Here you go. Here's how to input all of your contacts in detailed as a webhook, just like I'm talking about up above. And I don't have to watch videos and wait for an email back from follow-up boss and so on and so forth. So as a use case, I think technical support is a good use case. Any questions about that one or comments about that? To lower your efficiency or improve your efficiency. Danielle, you got anything?
No, it's perfect. Bringing in those
Okay.
elements to, and what you're talking about too is almost having like a template, right? So, where you can go back and then you have your follow-up boss guide. So if you need to troubleshoot something, you already have those elements preloaded there. So you just go and ask today's question or the question of the hour to that you want to troubleshoot. Love that.
That that's exactly right. Okay. So let's talk about a business strategy. I use Crystal here as an example. So I started making a board for Crystal, um, working on a business strategy here. And so we're talking about operations, we're talking about efficiency. It's kind of hard to know what you need to be efficient on until you know exactly clearly where you're going and clearly why you're going there. So what I did on this board here, working with Crystal, I started off with first of all, I started off with a text block widget right here. And what that allowed me to do, that allowed me to copy and paste Crystal's bio in here and a little bit about who she is and what she is. So I went to her website and her LinkedIn, I copied and pasted, I put that here on the board because it's important for the AI to know who I am and what I'm about. Then I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and copy and paste. Let's pretend I am Crystal, but her website here. And so now my AI assistant knows everything about me, my team, and everything right here. And I put that on the board. Personally, I love, anybody else know this book or read this book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why? I think
Love
it's
that book.
a fantastic book. And so for business planning and for me to be like really compelled to move forward, if I'm just doing it for the money or if I'm just doing it for the to be the multi-million dollar producer, it's probably not going to be done. But if I'm remembering why, because I've got two kids and one in college, and I remember why I believe in growth and uh, life experiences, if I get connected with that, I'm probably likely to make good on my business promises to myself. So I put that book here. And another book here is Work by Referral. It didn't have the image didn't load, but this is the Work by Referral book, which I think is a fantastic book. And because of Nick, let's say that was something that was important to me as well here in my planning is to make sure that I was also aligned with my faith. And so let's see here. Let's actually go with the Holy Bible. And now let's say I wanted to be aligned with my faith and my business practices. I could do something like that, Nick, as well, and make sure that whatever I was connected to that was bigger than me was a part of my business planning. You can do that with a click of a button now. And this was something that would have taken me a full day to kind of sit down and go through and think about and labor over and whatnot. So Satori really helps you get efficient with your business planning to make it hyper personalized and hyper relevant to your beliefs and your personal situation as well. Danielle, does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, so much of the projects that we approach, for them to be really valuable in our life and in our business, there's multiple different variables, and it's really hard to add new variables after the fact, right? If you approach them in a linear fashion and then you throw something else in there, often it's like, well, I would have needed to rewind, right? To weave this in earlier into the process. And so with Satori, you can bring those all in at once, so they're all considered in your project build out.
So here is let's talk about the experience. Actually, let's sit down. Actually, let's just go ahead and open. If you were to go to ChatGPT and we're going to do business planning, all right. we'd have to start business planning, and I would just start, typing back and forth to help me with the business plan. I'm a real estate agent that does this and that, right? And the difference with Satori is I sit back, all right, what's important to look at here? Okay, who am I? What am I talking about to the general public here? What like wisdom is really important that I want to inject in my business plan? And is there somebody that's done what I've already done before? Right? Because success leaves clues. So I don't have to start from scratch and go to ChatGPT and build a business plan from scratch. I can look at what other people have done before, put it in the context of real world experience in me, and now I can get to work. So let's build a business plan. And sorry, you guys, I'm gonna make this a little bigger here. There we go. We can see this. Let's build a business plan. Okay. Now I turn on the reasoning model here because I personally like to see what's happening behind the scenes. So you can see what Satori is thinking about is like, okay, we're going to build a business plan. We're going to pull from the YouTube transcript. It gives a little details about what is in that transcript and what that video talks about, and then how to structure it for me and focus on customer service and technology because it's so you can see that already it's starting to get hyper personalized for me. And with my first horrible prompt, let's build a business plan, right? I just want to point out like that's a horrible prompt. If I put that into ChatGPT, you get a horrible response. So with being a visual and laying things out on the board, you can start to really see a little deeper here. So it talks about spiritual, mental education, schedule improvements, time blocking. This is great. And right into okay, this is great. Start with why I want to make. How long should it take me to make 500K, Danielle? 5 months? Let's do
For
that.
sure. For
Okay.
sure.
Right. Okay. So here we see what's going to happen here. So Huzi is now going to be able to take your goal in your 5 months and start to break that down for you and give you the exact things that you need to work on in order to make 500 grand in 5 months. Okay. Based on what I've given it. All right. So it talks about your why, passion real estate, so on and so forth. So the reason I want to show you Satori is because I think a lot of you are going to really enjoy this sort of mind mapping experience over the experience of prompting back and forth right here to create something like this that's really kind of an art form. Like it's your standard operating procedures, it's your business planning, it is your hiring practices, right? It's much easier to plan for something we can add elements to a board than it is to prompt back and forth with an AI model. Okay. So I want to open up the chat. Is there anything in the chat, by the way, going on, Danielle, since I can't see it?
Um, let's see here. I am scrolling up. I know Kelly and Josh are answering a few questions. Okay, one just came
Perfect.
in from Sean. Okay, so Sean's question, this has like multiple talk about variables. There's a lot of different elements in this, but Eric, is Satori like shadow operator? Can you have it scrape Zillow for below market parameters that you set and then email the listing agent and see if the listing agent would accept an offer at a certain percentage below the list price and connect it all to my CRM?
Mhm. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's not an agentic agent. And so you asked about operator or is like Manus, the one I'm waiting to test from the next Chinese model. Operator is agentic, and operator, I think, gives us a glimpse of what's coming later this year. And who asked that, by the way?
That's Sean Skinner.
Hey, Sean,
Love the question.
Can you
Yeah.
unmute yourself real quick?
Hey, Eric. Yeah,
Hey,
thanks
hey,
for.
bud. Are you using operator that way, bud?
No, I haven't. I was hoping to do that. I think you mentioned in a previous call that that might be able to happen with this system. But yeah, just trying to see if something like that. I mean, maybe with webhooks or how
Yeah.
you would do that with your AI agent, maybe.
Yeah, there are some workarounds here that we can use some of
Yeah.
the tools. What I love about Operator is it kind of gave me a glimpse of what's coming. What I hate about Operator is it's really clunky and slow and really expensive. You're paying $200 just to have access to
Mhm.
it. Um, and it needs quite a bit of hand holding, and some really kind of deep understanding of how to prompt AIs to get it to do things in a really good way. Um, but the idea of it is so great. So, and it's spawned you to have this really great use case question.
Mhm.
So, what I would probably do is break that thing down into maybe, let's say, three categories, and then assign the AI to do it, then be the human bridge here for the next maybe 2 or 3 months until the AIs are slightly more advanced to do what you're doing in a way that I would feel comfortable with saying, yeah, do it, man. That's a great.
Okay. One AI agent would be the scraper of Zillow, and
Yep.
then another one would connect with your CRM, gather that info, I guess, and then I'd have to figure it out somehow to make a letter of intent or however you would want to reach out if you're for an investor if you're doing it that way, I guess.
We could, like, for instance, so Sean, we could actually build you a custom AI agent here that could scrape that, have an integration into your CRM that would dump the information in there. And then your CRM could have an automated trigger flow that would take it from there. And then your CRM would actually handle it from there to send out the emails as you talked about.
With a template.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
could use Huzi on the front end to do that sort of front end work, to find the information, capture the information, send it over to your CRM, and then your CRM would do the distribution of it from there.
Okay. That sounds great. Are you able to talk about maybe the Zapier or webhooks and how I guess I don't really understand how to connect that with the agent.
You bet. So inside, what CRM do you have, bud?
Bull Trail, KB Core.
Okay. So both of those both have webhooks. In fact, nearly every single, CRM does. And so right here, if you have a lead that comes in and you collect the information, all you have to do is enter. You're going to go into your KV Core, your Bold Trail, get the webhook address, copy it, and then paste it right into here, Sean.
Okay. All right.
All right. And then there you go. Now, on your lead collection, you've got two ways to do it. Actually, I want to make sure this is really, really clear. So let's say collect in form. Let's say that I have a first name, and that's a required field, and I'm going to say email address, email, and that's also a required field. Now, if I add this as a required field and I save the changes to this AI agent, what you're going to see here is you're going to see this form pop up. Nothing's going to work here until your user enters your email address and your first name, because that's something I required as a gate to be able to access this AI agent. Now it does it. Now it's unlocked, and now you are good to go. Now you can do that. So you can collect leads by making it mandatory up front by filling out a form, or you could have it be the other way where you're just collecting it in the chat and you're saying, I want you, agent, to collect the first name, not first name. And it is a string. Okay. What this is, I just want to be very, very clear. A string is essentially like letters as a name or a series of words. A number is just that, it's just a number. And a Boolean is like an if then, right? Are you a buyer or are you a seller, right? As an example, right? So it's sort of an if then. I'm going to say that this is a string as a first name. And now I'm good to go. And now I've told my data in the collection of chat, I want you to try and get their first name, is what I did here. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and take off the collection. I'm going to delete that, delete that. I'm going to save. And now the experience is back to what we experienced here, where it's just kind of open. But during the conversation, the AI will try and collect my first name for me. All right, Sean. And if it does that, then it will send a webhook to your CRM, let you know, hey, I collected Eric Post, Eric at Huzi.ai. And then if you have you set up to get email notifications, you'll get an email that also says that you have collected a lead here as well through your AI agent.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, I was talking to Josh in the chat here about something along those lines of, because we only have what, 5 AI agents to use, and maybe creating one that can do like a lot of different things within the pre sale kind of stuff with clients, but also during the transaction. And what I was putting in there is having the AI agent. You basically have to put in the client's name, and then that will open up their transaction. So then when they ask, when is my closing date? In the middle of the night or something like that, or what's my earnest money and which escrow company does that go to? Then they have to put in their name first, because I don't want. I mean, it's you don't want somebody stumbling upon their transaction details. And so I think that's probably a good way of doing it too. Just have them put in their name, I guess, in there, and that would be kind of like their password or something like that
Yeah,
to get
you
that
you
extract that
definitely
info.
could do something like that. And I love the idea of the personalized transaction assistant a lot. And
Hmm.
it really works. It really works well. And if you're in your team, this is also something you could send to the other agent to keep them on board, right? Because I don't know how
Hmm.
much communication you have involved in transactions, but I feel like they could just read the documentation as easy as I could. But other agents would say, "Hey, when's the closing date?" I'm like, "You've got the earnest money agreement too, man." Right?
Right.
So giving those as a customer service
Yeah.
agent works well inside all the parties as well, bud.
Well, I talk about promoting that to the other agent. If you're an affiliate, then you just say, "Oh, they're going to say, how did you do that? What? How, yeah,
Yeah, if
let me
you're a
show
Huzi
you."
affiliate, please do this because they're gonna be like, bro, I'd love to have this. How do we do it? You're like, oh, sign here, and then you get paid
Hmm.
to have the co-op agent, right? Yeah.
Right.
Or if you're a team leader, right? Or if you're trying to build a downline at your organization, these are great recruiting tools too. Like, hey, come join my team and I'll teach you how to use this in your business, right? Great
Mhm.
thought leadership position if you're trying to grow your real estate team as well.
Right.
Great.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you. Great question. Anything else, Danielle?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Josh is all over these, so this is
Thank you,
great.
Josh,
So
buddy. I
is
really
Nate. Nate's in here, and yeah, okay.
Okay. A couple of quality nice things. So in Satori, we've touched on it a little bit, but just also remind yourself that if let's say I'm working here on my business plan, but I'm just not quite getting the response that I want here. And let's say, you know what, I just don't know how to prompt well enough. I just want to get better responses. Then shoot, like let's go ahead and let's do something like this, you guys. Let's do prompt engineering. Okay. Let's say this is the prompt engineering. I want to make a prompt engineer. I want to make a little assistant here that's going to help me build really great prompts. Uh, I need a guy. All right. Now, let's say if I said like, build me a prompt to make a 2025 business plan. And I wish I could spell this morning, but here you go. So now, if you want, now you can take this amazing prompt that is written by my prompt assistant, and I copy and paste this into my chat widget. And now I've got a completely different experience here with it. And I didn't review this. I didn't make sure this was accurate. You guys see how quickly I just did that. Okay. So now you're going to get an incredibly different experience that you're going to walk through as a very detailed prompt was given to this AI. And you didn't have to go anywhere else but inside of Satori. You didn't have to change out conversations because this board, you can just drag and drop as many of these things as you want here. So you can get things done right here without having to leave your board. So let's say if I wanted to have search the internet, and I wanted some statistics. I need Calgary real estate market facts. Okay, because let's say well, I'm doing some research here on my business plan. You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to Google. Just put another AI widget on your canvas, have it do the research for you, and now I've got the information. Okay, sales were down, and maybe I need this information here in my business planning. Just do it on one board. That's what this sort of flexibility in this interface allows you to do instead of like in ChatGPT, you either go back and forth because you remember what. Hopefully, you guys know what like chat hygiene is. If I'm talking to a chat window here and you're going back and forth and I'm talking about finding me a restaurant for dinner and then doing a business plan, whatever, your chat hygiene is all dirty and the AI is a little confused about what you're working on. But if you keep your chat hygiene very clean, like this chat is about business planning, this one is about planning a date with my wife, this one is my vacation, this one's my research on my client, you're going to get much better responses from your AI. So in Satori, you can keep your chat hygiene very clean by having different chat windows open and there's no cross contamination between the two chats. That resonate, Danielle? That makes sense too?
Yeah, I think it's really important actually because when we talk about context a lot, right? And so if you think about the context adding the value to that iteration, well, that's the context you're providing. And so if it's confusing, then that's informing the project in the wrong direction. So keep it clean.
Lastly, one final, I know we're getting close on time here. One final use case here. And by the way, a nice quality of life thing here on the naming of the boards. We have a new renaming feature here. And so if you need to name it, so you can just see, I can rename it and Huzi can help name each of your boards. So you don't have a bunch of untitled boards laying here. You don't know what is that board. You have to click in to see it. So now I can easily see what each of my boards are. Um, One of the things, just to get at the creativity, all right, my villain in this whole story is mediocrity and apathy in this business, in business in general. And you see a lot of people copying a lot of people. Um, so as an example here, I was talking to Crystal about her AI, she put an AI agent on her website. And if you can see, she has this little pop-up here. And she set it so it will have a little pop-up here and it'll say, "Hi, let me know if you have any questions." Okay, that's how she wants the experience here. Guys, I pushed back on her a little bit. I said, "Hey, what if this says, 'Hey there, if you want to find out the top 10 best places to hike in Calgary, ask me here,'" right? Or, "Hey, if you want to test your knowledge of what it takes to buy a property in Calgary in today's market, find out now." Right? Like, give more compelling reasons to get, interactions here than just say, "Hey, let me know if you have any questions." Right? Push the back because that's what everybody's going to do, you guys, is like, "Hey, I'm here to help you." No, stand out. Like, get really creative. And if you can't think of anything to be creative, spin up a board, ask Uzi and say, "I'm trying to build this. Here's my problem. Give me some creative solutions. Ready to go." Right? So you don't have to do it anymore. You just have to care enough to get to it to do it anymore. But I would use Satori to dig underneath all of those creative juices and start getting those out of you here. Okay. Danielle, Kelly, you guys have
Awesome.
anything to wrap up? I know we're at 10 o'clock. This hour goes so fast.
It does. There's so much to go over. And, we still have 6 more training classes though, so I'm excited for each of those. Make sure when you register, also you'll get the calendar invites in your confirmation email for all the remaining classes as well, which includes the Zoom links, which is fantastic. And of course, since you're a Huzi member, everybody that's on the call are members of Huzi. You have access to recordings for every single thing we do. So just know the answer is always yes. Will this be recorded? If you're on a call and you're a member, you have access to that. We post all of them in Huzi Learn. So that's your one-stop shop. Not only do we record all of these value events, but any other curated wisdom that we find that we think would be really valuable for you to bring in to your business or to inform a project, perhaps. We post that and Learn as well too. And then any new feature that we roll out, Nate is fantastic. We've got our marketing team who always goes through and does a quick highlight how you use this tool and integrate it into your business. So make sure to visit Huzi Learn. And we
I
love, I was just going to say, we love seeing especially after last week's call when we pushed out Eric, when you pushed out Satori, we were so excited. So I loved seeing everybody's use cases in Connect. Please continue to share your excitement and your use cases because frankly, like that's what inspires, right? There's a million different ways you can use this. And I think just hearing from one another, we find some inspiration.
And if you don't want to watch the hour-long training video of me jabbering, then grab the YouTube video, throw it on your Satori board, and say, "Hey, tell me, tell me what Eric said about this," and just get right to it, right? Instead of having to hear me yap for an hour. So leverage the tools, please, to like lower your time that it takes to do things. Like it's just a time compressor for you if you use it that way. For anybody that has just an extra couple of minutes, I have a question for the group. And I was texting Josh really late last night, and I had this dream of how great it would be if you didn't even need to know how to build one of these AI agents. Like, what if you could just chat with an AI agent and then magically it was done for you, was the dream. Like, I think really big businesses are going to be built on, like, if I want to build an AI agent, I just want to talk to it like it's an employee. I want to manage it like it's my employee. I just want to text it, like, "Hey, I didn't like it when you said this, say it like this next time." Or, "Hey, I want you to, put yourself on my website and in my DMs," or whatever it is, right? Wouldn't it be great if you could just text with something? So I built one last night and I have this idea of like, hey, it couldn't just be included, but what if it was something like $30 a month or $39 a month or something? And all you had to do was like, I want this on my website and I want it to be on this website. And this is what I want it to do. And then we were able to build it and install it for you. And then anytime you want to changes, you just chatted with the AI agent and went back and forth with it. Can you guys, would you pay for a premium service like that if it was something like $39 a month or something like that? Would you show me by like your interest levels right here? Jamie said yes. Cheryl like yes. Possibly you don't have to do it at all. Okay.
How is that different from like us chatting with Huzi directly?
So because you wouldn't do it, you just wouldn't do anything. Your work would begin and end with the chat, Nick. Right? You're right. Like I think we've got a lot of resources here for you to do it. But I watched Crystal do one yesterday, right? And again, she was my avatar yesterday. And so it went from she was at a webinar, she didn't know anything about it. She bought it, she went, she deployed it. She's pretty, and I watched her struggle, like just trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, I know she's got listings to do and buyers to follow up on and kids to tend to. Like, I get it. So I was trying to think, is there even an easier way that people that didn't even want to do that, that we could service them? And I came up with that idea and I built one last night. It seems to work pretty well. So if you do have interest in it, I'll take it a little bit further. Like, again, can you show me like, is there at least four or five people here?
Yeah, we've got some yes, 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 yeses. Oh, heck yes, yes, and yes, I would. So we, there
Okay.
a lot
I
of
have a couple
excitement.
questions on it, Eric.
Yeah, please.
So would it be able to do those operator type things? Like you said, like I want this on my website. Like, is it going to be able to go into that, given that that's password protected? Maybe log in or like MailChimp or whatever. Like, what is that? Like, what is the
No.
extent of that capability for it to actually get onto something to do it?
You would be experiencing as the user, as a Huzi member, you would be experiencing a blend of service through human and AI support. So the AI that you'd be talking to, collecting all the information. Like, let me just, I built one. So let me just go ahead and show you what it would look like. So it looks something like this. And would say, hey, I need to set mine up for the very first time. And let's say that this AI agent was specifically for those of you that wanted one on your website, right? On whatever your landing page is, your home page, or a single property website, that's where you wanted. Okay. So I was like, great, let me get you started. If you do have a logo, you can send that off. What would you decide? I want it red and blue, and I want it displayed on Huzi.ai, and I want it to collect leads.
So Eric, can I clarify for me here? What we're seeing is we're building the same AI agent that we just did on this call, on this hour together. But instead of me having to go through and do this work, all I need to do is tell this other AI agent
That's
exactly what I would like to accomplish instead of actually doing it myself. So we're building the same AI agents. Jamie, maybe that adds some clarity and answers your question here. It's just, we're not actually doing the work. I love it.
Yeah, so our team would do the work. So what would happen now is that now Josh would get an alert saying, hey, Eric wants to build this. I want to put on Huzi as red and blue. I want to collect it leads. And then Josh would be then going and doing the work and then reporting back, and you'd be getting notification. This would be your manager, your AI manager right here. You would literally put this on your home screen, link to this. So you don't have to manage anything. You never log in. You just tell what happens here. And within 12 hours to 24 hours, whatever work that you're requesting would have been done if it wasn't automatically. Okay. Because we'd be managing the conversation here, and the AI would be doing some, and we'd be doing some to get it done for you. So yeah, please.
Yeah. So a good way to think about this is like, as opposed to, say you need something done, you email support, and then there's like a sort of a back and forth, as soon as they're available, they get back to you. As soon as you're available, you get back to them. This way, when you have something you want to get done, you go talk to the AI. It's able to ask any sort of qualifying questions and really dial into exactly what needs to happen. So then when, me or a member of the team is ready, all that back and forth is taken care of whenever you're available. And then we're able to do the work when we're available, or, get back to you. But it's a way to sort of save time and eliminate that sort of unnecessary back and forth and make this process more asynchronous, even if there is a human in the loop.
Exactly. So some of it would be done by AI, some would be done by human. You don't care about it as long as it's done, is my point as the user.
So then who goes and actually adds it to our website?
we would do it, and we might need to call you and say, hey, can you give us our username and password, right? Or can you like, right, where are you at? Like there might be some human necessary here, but for you, your primary interaction would be just be chatting with this AI agent, right? And then you would say, yes, oh, I need one for this. I need one for this client. I need one, like whatever you want, then you can order or make changes, and we monitor during the month. So let's say if this was on your website and now in month 2, you were doing your client appreciation event, right? And so you wanted to make sure the AI agent is talking about your client appreciation event and could also deliver directions of how to get to your client appreciation event. Just set it right here, and then we'd make the changes in the agent for you and deploy it for you. So you do nothing but chat right here is the point.
I love this. Every time you have a new listing, that's just part of your SOP is you order your AI agent for that
Mm-hmm.
particular listing. You get into contracts, then you put one together for a transaction. I love this.
That was
Mm-hmm.
exactly where I thought too, Danielle, was like, instead of us having to go in and either retrain or duplicate or add in the knowledge bases to just text that, anything that we can do to make this way more mobile friendly is a win all around for sure, because we're all on the go.
Absolutely right. So this could be like I add it to my home screen right here just as a test, right? So now I'm clicking on my home screen, have a chat right here, and now it's done. It's off my thing. I didn't have to go in the office, right? So and also think in the future, instead of like chatting, if you wanted to click right here and you have a call, and so it would call, you can just talk to the agent back and forth in a voice instead of texting if you wanted to, and that would be possible as well. So these are the things I want to get to, because I really feel like the power of this is important to compete. We want to be able to doing this. And so I'm just trying to figure out all the best ways to do it with and for you if you guys want. So all right, you guys.
So I have a
Appreciate you all
question.
today.
Eric, I have a question for you.
Yeah, Linda.
So okay, so like say we sent this information in to you guys and stuff like that, or we told you what we wanted. If you saw on there was some really bad content or something on there, would you guys correct that before it went out, or was that be up to us to like make sure it's perfect?
Yeah, so we'd say, hey, great, it's ready for you to verify. Like, click here, test it out, make sure it's approved, and then before we install it on your site, so you get a
Okay.
link to the agent before we got it. So there'd be a human in the loop, sort of quality control thing for you as well to approve it, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I think this is wonderful. Yeah.
Great question. Any other questions? I can hang out if there are other questions, you guys. Okay. Brad, good to see you in here too this morning. Good to see you guys. Good to see some new faces. And let's all kill 2025 together, okay? Let's crush
Let's
it.
do it. Let's do it. All right. Thanks all for joining us. And we hope to see you next week, if not in the community beforehand. Thanks so much.